Welcome everyone to Besign podcast. Today I have Perla Chamoun, the designer. Did I pronounce it right? I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's funny.
I'm sorry. Do you wanna?
No, it's fine. You can continue.
Okay. So today I have Perla. How's it going? How are you?
Hi, everyone. Hi, Moa. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good as well. Thank you very much for accepting my invitation to the podcast. I'm glad that you're here. Finally, we're doing this.
Yay. Thank you for having me.
Would you please introduce yourself a little bit? Just give a little bit of introduction of yourself.
Okay. So my name is Perla. I'm 21 years old and I'm a designer in the making. It's my final year. It's been 5 years that I'm at Besign School. And yeah, that's pretty. Oh, I'm Lebanese, and I've lived in Gabon in Africa for a while, and then now I'm here.
Okay, I wanna ask you a couple of questions about what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, tell us about Besign. I wanna know about Besign a little bit.
Like, why did I choose?
Yes, why did you choose
I'll
Besign?
tell you like a long story
and
short.
Everything. Yes.
So when I was in Lebanon, I was so confused. I didn't know what I wanted to do later, and I was so stressed because when I would talk to my friends, they would tell me, "Yeah, I want to do medicine. Yeah, I want to do architecture." And I was like, I don't have any clue of what I want to do. Like, what is happening? And so I was looking to like different schools, different fields. In the beginning, I wanted to do a landscape architecture. So I was looking into architecture schools in Paris. I found one in Versailles because at the time, since it's like French system, you have to go through a special website where you have to apply and then they have to accept you and you have 4 choices and then so I wanted to do that. Then I wanted to do pharmacy.
Oh.
Then I was like, yeah, no, maybe not. And then I found the school because we know in French schools you have kind of like an orientation teacher that helps you and like guides you towards what would fit you best as a student. Mm-hmm. And she talked to me about the school. So I was like, yeah, I'm just going to go check. And I checked and I was like, yeah, that's it.
Instantly attracted to it. But what about it?
Because it mixed what I liked most into one place.
What do you mean? What did you like most?
So we had like this environmental level, the social level, the creative level. I was like, this is it. Mm-hmm. I just had like a click. I was like, let me go for that.
Yeah, for those who don't know, Besign is a sustainable school, and precisely approach design in a more green way, basically.
Yeah, right? And we're really based on human-centered design. So whenever I tell people, yeah, I'm a product designer, they think I just do nice furniture, which is not only what I do. The school teaches us to answer and find the best solutions possible to any kind of problem that we face, putting human in the center, which is human-centered design, but also thinking about the whole life cycle of the thing. Because we're not industrial designers, I have nothing against you guys, but we don't create just to mass production. Yeah. Like for mass production purposes. We create for a very precise need to create a very precise solution.
Exactly.
We think about all of the different levels. The production, the use, the end of life, the life cycle, the material, the sustainability, all of that. I think this is also a part that attracted me. Because we have lots of product design schools here, but also like in France, like in general. And this school specifically, because of that, I was like, yeah, let me go to that more, to this field.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I kind of feel as well that design doesn't have to be always like indulging in the mass production and capitalism, because it does. And it's like a tool that people usually use to sell more. Mm-hmm. But the school's kind of going against that, which I love. And I really appreciate it. Which brings us to your memoir, actually.
Yeah.
I just remember that I read on your introduction that you wanna do design for humans, putting humans in priority and spread kindness and everything like that. Would you tell me about that a little bit? Is that your purpose? Like, what is your purpose in design, and what are you looking for in the future in design?
It's been 5 years that I'm in the field, studying in the field. So first of all, as a person, I strongly believe that you should spread kindness however you can. Because if you all do that, the world would be a better place. So I wish more people would think like me, because we're a bunch. There's lots of people that think like me, but I think more and more people should also join. So there's my personal kind of beliefs, I would say, like the personal base that I have. And then on a design level, I was like, okay, I'm here to create. Creation can be so many things. I can create mass destruction stuff, weapons, yes. Bombs, whatever you want. I can design services for like bad intentions, and I was like, why can't I then mix what I like doing, which is designing, this whole process of creativity, doing something from A to Z, seeing the whole process coming to life, this is what I really enjoy about this field. But also link it to my personal belief. So then it's like I'm mixing two things that I like into one, you know. It's like, yeah, so human-centered design is really what I like doing. But I like to focus mostly on maybe humanitarian or like medical design, you know, something that I feel is really useful for people, you know.
So I think this is why do you think that is useful in, for example,
because if it's like medical, let's say, I mean, you need to treat patients. So you know that you're saving lives, you know. And if it's like an emergency type of context, or like a humanitarian design, you know that you're helping people out, and especially people that really need help. But it doesn't mean that I don't like to do cool stuff like a stool or like a nice chair sometimes. But yeah, I think in the future I would see myself more into this kind of design, you know, where I know that my work is helping people in need, and it's making a difference somehow. And
your memoir was based on that as well, like your ideology, basically. Yeah. Is that true? Can you explain your memoir a little bit?
So I worked on hold on.
That's okay.
I worked on...
based on what I read...
Emergency intervention in dangerous zones.
Okay.
That's what I worked on.
Okay, perfect. Can you explain that to us a little bit? So it had 4 chapters. Is that true? Like the first chapter was like you...
Yeah, it has 4, yeah.
Can you explain that?
So the idea went from what I explained earlier, personal belief, but also what I like to do. But it's also because of the recent events that happened in Lebanon with the war. So I felt very useless. And I wanted to do something about that. I was like, okay, maybe I have a part of responsibility somewhere. So let me dive into this kind of subject, because then I would feel better, you know. So I went into that. And so it was divided in 4 chapters. The first one was to set the context. Because when I say dangerous zones, people often think of maybe an accident or natural disasters. But I showed the different layers that this could have. So I took different case studies. So I took Lebanon for war. So to explain that, yeah, danger is also man-made. And then I took an example of the south of France for a natural disaster. So the storm Alex that happened nearby here. And the third one, I took the Brazilian Amazon with the Yanomami population, because they're geographically, medically, like there's a medical desert, because they live in a remote area. They're like tribes. So this is also dangerous, because they don't get the same access to healthcare as we do. So the first chapter was really to set the context. Then the second chapter was more into looking at the system. How do the army, but also the NGOs, also the healthcare facilities and like hospitals, how do they operate when they need to intervene into rescuing people? So it was more like the system. And within the system, you had the white plan that is used here in France. It's when the hospital has so many casualties at the same time, and they need to treat them all, but also keep the same treatment for the people that were in the emergencies before this event happened. So it changes into like an operational room, kind of, where you have like the brain is like a cell, and it's like a bunch of different doctors, and then they give orders to the subcategories, and then they know how to treat people. What do they do with them? And they have a whole governmental website on which, when these stuff happen, they store the data of each victim as well, each patient. So I looked into that, and then the third chapter was more analyzing the tools, the machines. It was more like an analysis of what I saw in the second chapter. And in that, I found the Morphe module that is used in the army, the French army. Module? It's so basically they equipped private jets, Falcon jets, with ICU devices, so then they can treat soldiers that are wounded in the air. It becomes like an ICU in the air. So I looked into that and what kind of machines were used and stuff like that. And then, I also looked at different types of ambulances. So you have here in France, you have type B and C. B is like a regular ambulance, so you don't need to have a doctor, and you have like regular equipment. And then you have type C, which is more an ICU room on wheels. And there you need to have like a doctor. This is for all of the reanimation type of stuff. So if the patient is really in a very critical situation, you need to keep him alive until they arrive to the hospital, basically.
And also said, like, you said something really interesting about Toyota. Toyota built before we started podcast. Can you explain that too?
So this was in the fourth chapter. No. This is in the fourth chapter. And I was just looking into innovations, but in the field of rescue. And I looked into all of the different levels. You have like the technological level, like robots and stuff. I looked into application. There's like an application called Pulse Point where you get to, so you sign up either as someone that knows how to make a cardiac massage, or you sign just as like a user. And then if someone is having like a heart attack, you can just send a notification on this website, and then maybe someone around you can just come and massage like the victim quickly before the ambulance actually arrives. And so this is like an example. Then I also looked at so you have like technology, applications, but also product. There's something called the Surgery Bubble. It's something that I really, really liked so much. It's a group of doctors, but also designers, that created this sterile bubble that you can put on the patient, so then doctors can operate no matter what's the context. It's like a bubble. It has like a air filter.
Okay.
It's literally like as if you're just placing a sterile bubble on a patient with different entry for the doctors to actually operate. I see. Okay. And so no matter if they're in nature, in a random room, in a rain, like they can do their job in a sterile environment. That
environment is pretty isolated.
Yeah.
So
it's like a bubble, basically.
Interesting.
And then what else? And then I looked, into products, and I looked into bigger scale products. So this is what I was talking about. Toyota created in Japan this ambulance that works also with hydrogen energy. So when they go and they treat patients in rural areas because of natural disasters, let's say, and the electricity lines are cut off, this ambulance also serves as an electric pole or like a generator type of thing, so they can provide electricity for these people that they're rescuing.
That is fascinating.
Yeah.
This kind of designs kind of, first of all, it's very innovative, and at the same time it helps a lot of people. And for your perspective in this memoir, can you tell us like what kind of approach you wanted to take? Like, did you want to change something? Like you approached this disastrous war, stuff happening around the world. What was the purpose of this study?
I think it was more for me to see where were the gaps and what kind of innovation we could take and implement furthermore into rescuing people, you know, because there's lots of things that are being created every day, but the issue that I saw is that it's not accessible by everyone, so it's not equitable. So the vision I had would be, okay, so I took all of these basic information from different points of views on different levels. Okay, how can I adapt this for people who do not have equitable access to healthcare or just like rescue in general?
Interesting. And then like you wanted to find these gaps basically to design something for those gaps. Is that true?
It was just more like an observation. I was just observing.
Okay. So you haven't like really approached this as a design. Like you didn't really design something in this matter basically.
No, in this memoir, no. It was just for me kind of like a research study that I just put into a book. Yeah.
Interesting. And for the project, you are collaborating with Ellie, and you're working on, can you explain that as well?
So, hi Ali. So I'm working with Elizabeth Nazarova, which has been my classmate and a good friend of mine for the last 5 years here. So with Ellie, we're focusing on amputation and on victim assistance after an amputation. This is because we had similarities in the vision, personal vision, but also in the work that we've done in the past. So Ellie did a dog prosthetic for her bachelor's project, and I once did a mobile rescue unit, like an emergency unit, for my second year, like during my second year.
What do you mean mobile? Yes.
We had a brief, which was mobile unit, do whatever you want with it. So I created an emergency mobile unit where they could treat, like minor casualties during big events like an explosion or an earthquake, so then they lower the amount of people going to hospitals. They take the minor cases and they leave the bigger cases to go to the hospital. And it was like airdropped, because when you have explosions or earthquakes, the roads are not cleared. So you just drop it and you unfold it. It's expandable.
The doctor or a professional has to be present in that area, basically, to use your...
So it was during my second year, so my skills were not as polished as now, but it was a good project. So we saw that we had like a good combination, mindset, vision in general. And so we're working on amputation because of, if you look around today, unfortunately more and more events are happening, and it's showing you that there is going to be more and more victims in the future, politically speaking, but also because of it's
a disaster what's happening in the world, honestly.
So and we also looked at what was done in the past, what kind of treaty was done in the past, what kind of countries signed what, who, how. We saw that there's the Ottawa Treaty that was signed in 1997. Most of the countries signed it, and normally it was, you couldn't use anti-personnel landmines or create them. But today, you have more and more countries getting out of this treaty. So, which means they have intentions of maybe using anti-personnel landmines again, which means that you're going to get more victims in the future, knowing that landmines do not expire.
Why do they do that? Why do they continue to do landmines exactly?
Why do they continue to produce arms and weapons and masses? Why?
I don't know. You tell
money.
Me. Money. But landmines cost them a lot. Like, why do they do landmines?
What's the biggest market today where you have so much money?
Wars, weapons.
It's the market that has the most money. They do wars just for money, basically. Because exactly, it costs a lot to.
Don't we have money somewhere else? Do we have to always seek it in the war?
Exactly. Why are we doing this?
I don't know.
Why can't we just live in a peaceful world like? I mean, I wanted to say like we always have been doing, but it's not true. Yeah, human beings are evil. I don't like them. Yeah.
You don't like human beings.
No, honestly, we're evil. We're evil.
I think we have evil in ourselves, definitely. Yes.
So why? Because of money? Why not make money in a different way? No idea.
Nobody knows.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
and then you found out that so many countries still like do landmines, and still have this disastrous time. People go on it, and
thing is, since it does not expire, you would find landmines in different countries from the Second World War.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, they do not expire. You have, if I tell you the different kinds of them, they're evil. You have landmines that do not explode unless you take your foot, you step your foot off the thing.
Oh my God.
So you're in a psychological, you're like, shit, I'm gonna die, but I can stay there and not move. So what do? You have landmines. This is thanks to Ellie. She told me the different kind of landmines because I was not aware. You have landmines that would get, so they're buried, right? They would get unburied and they would throw in a 360 degree.
Oh my God.
Just bullets and sharples and.
So like a shotgun that does.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So when you see these these were made by engineers. These were made by actual designers. I don't want to be this kind of designer. Why would you do that?
But how can you approach this problem as a designer?
You demine. As this is mostly the army's work. And the thing is, so I forgot to say that we're also taking Lebanon as a case study for our project because unfortunately my country is filled with landmines, and every time they're this close of demining it, another thing happens. Mm-hmm. You have landmines all over again. The only thing you can do is demine, and you manually demine an anti-personnel mine. Mm-hmm. And it's done by the army, and you need to look for metal underground, and then you need to see, is it just a scrap metal piece or is it an actual mine? So you have teams that actually work for that. And you also have teams that come from Geneva. It's like an international demining team that also help people like countries like Lebanon, other contaminated countries to demine whatever they have.
Their lands, basically.
So that's one of the solutions, is to completely demine, then you're fine. But you have other causes of amputation as well. Diabetes is one of the reasons
that, yes.
We also have car accidents, work labor accident with big machines, natural disaster. So no matter what, amputation is not something we cannot live without, unfortunately. For some.
And your approach to amputation was designing a 3D model. Is that true? Like a 3D.
It's more in the treatment. How do we treat these people? How do we help them? I don't want to spoil it, but it's more how we as designers can make these victims go from victims to actors of change within their own community. How can we empower the local community?
Mm-hmm. You're like a I don't know, Hollywood star, and they come to the show and they're like, can you talk about your movie a little bit, please? And they're like, oh no, I can't spoil it. Come on, give me a little bit of idea what's happening.
We're thinking about going towards rehabilitation.
Okay.
Because it's something that is lacking.
Okay.
And that's the first part after the first part of an amputee's journey is the surgery, so the amputation. But the second most crucial, most important part is the physical and mental rehabilitation. Because if they don't go through that second part, they do not gain their independence ever again. They do not regain their mobility ever again. And with that, you have like prosthetics, physiotherapy, just like mental therapy. You have so much stuff.
And who do you want to engage in this type of therapies? Like doctors, of course, right?
Locals.
What if you don't have doctors between locals, basically?
Then we take them from international humanitarian systems and groups. But for us, one of the main motivations, I would say, is to create a push. So we want to be able to give to these communities the tools and then leave. So we just give them what they're lacking, and then they will know what to do with the rest. We're just giving them this push, and then they can take the lead.
You want them to be independent.
Exactly. We don't want them to depend on us. I'm saying as an institution or as an organization.
Yeah.
Because this is, you can't solve an issue by creating another issue.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the biggest mistake we do, us as designers and sometimes as human beings. We think that if you solve problem A with B, that's it. But you don't think that problem B leads to problem C and D.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes keeping the problem A with no solutions is better than creating a solution for it.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Can you give us an example? On the spot.
An example on the spot.
I know what you mean.
The use of plastic. Mm-hmm. We started using plastic because it's cheaper, it's faster. We created this iconic monoblock chair, which is a universal product, universal stories around it, which is great. But then look what happened with plastic. Created problem C and D.
More than what probably. No, I mean it also depends on how you use plastic. Like we've used a lot of plastic in the medical system.
I do not strongly believe that plastic is like the evil here. No. It depends on, because sometimes you can be using to create like electric car batteries. Mm-hmm. It pollutes a lot. So it just depends on how you produce it. But it was just like an example.
Based on what you were saying about your memoir and your project, I feel like a designer could be a fighter as well. It's like fighting for...
We can.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, it sounds like that.
You can have like, you can feel like you have a purpose, and then through your work, you resist to something or you fight for something. I mean, why not? Like as human beings, even if for me, I feel, I believe that this life is temporary, but exactly because because you're not taking anything with you, because nothing belongs truly to you. Why can't you be a good human being? Why can't you fight for the oppressed, stand with what's just? Why?
I always ask this question to myself as well. Like, what is our responsibility as a designer, as somebody who has the capacity to be here and study design in general, or have the capacity to, have free time a little bit to even think about this kind of stuff. It's like, what is our responsibility to the world, to the people that like they don't have this?
It's to create durable solutions that are truly needed. How many times did it happen to you too? Yeah, you're working like you have a brief, create a chair. You think, I will do this, or maybe it's going to look like that. Maybe I'm going to use this kind of material. But then you take a step back. You're like, is this really useful? No, then maybe let me change the shape. This could be more useful because then the user can use it this way and that way. Maybe they can disassemble it. Maybe they can, I don't know, do something else with it. Then you give it a meaning. You give it a real purpose. It happens that you change trajectory during your process because you realize it's not useful. Can
you describe useful to us as well? If you could, for example, put it in your own words.
Useful means that the money, the time, and the personal labor that you're putting into the creation of something is gonna answer a real need. That's the difference between that's the difference between something useful and something trendy. You know?
Yes.
Trends come and go. So people mass produce on a product. I don't know if you saw these.
Labubu.
For example. It's good, it's great, right? It's like fun, people like it. Okay, whatever. It's like small, cute monsters. Yeah, sure. But is it really useful for the planet, for people? Does it answer a real need?
I believe that
not everything should answer a real need. This is not what I'm saying. Like you can have this creativity, this because it's fun creating cool stuff just because it's cool, you know. But if behind this process you're creating for someone to use it, so for a user, then it's not acceptable as a designer not to study exactly what are the needs to create the best solution possible. It's literally your purpose as a designer. You need to understand your target. You need to put yourself in their shoes.
Research.
Ask around you. Interview people.
Yes.
This is how you're 100% sure that the solution that you're doing is needed.
Otherwise, it's a waste, no?
Exactly. It means that you have because a designer does not work alone. We maybe we take the project, but in a real life scenario, you work with engineers, with manufacturers. You do not work alone, which is a good thing. You know, working in groups, you have more brains, so better work normally, right? So it means that you should take into account all of that. It's your responsibility. Same goes for the engineer.
Of course, it's not normally good to work in a group unless you find authority in the group. Then you have to conform to the authority. You have to conform to the big companies and capitalism and this or that.
Depends which type of organization you're working with.
I feel like a lot of our organizations use manipulation for our users, unfortunately. Like they create products to be sold, not to be used, you know, not to the need of people, but rather than just. I
like to take examples of like baby strollers or baby car seats. These are useful, you know, like the user needs it. But then if a brand, and I know there's a bunch of them that are re-innovating on these type of thing, maybe like your stroller can close, it just close down if you just pick a handle up. It just closes. Like this is so useful for the parents. It saves time. It's not like overwhelming for you to, oh my God, how am I gonna close the stroller and then open it? You just lift it up. It's closed. These are like useful stuff, you know.
Yes.
And it's not critical. You're not in an emergency context, but this is useful. You know. But sometimes you have c'est très subtil. It's not
subtle.
It's not always, it shouldn't always be so complex. No. The simplest thing are the hardest to create. The keep it simple is the most complicated sentence I had to use during my design processes, really. Because we as designers, we're so creative. Yeah, I'm going to add this and that and this and that. It should not be a Swiss knife. This is why I'm saying you should target exactly the real need. Because the more precise you are, the more successful your solution is going to be.
And the more simple it's going to be.
Exactly. Keep it simple. Always.
Keep it simple. I think that's a perfect, honestly, ending. To our podcast. Keep it simple. Keep it simple, you guys. Yeah, it's a good manifesto.
Yeah.
Perla, thank you very much.
Thank you more for having me.
I think this was a great podcast.
Yeah, thank you guys for listening.
Yes, thank you guys for listening. And please comment if you have something to say.
Even if you do not agree with what I said, I would love to hear your points of views.
Yes, please.
And debate on why I'm right.
Let's do that. We can have a debate here actually next time.
Maybe.
Put two, three more people actually here and then like debate.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Awesome. Thank you,
Thank
Perla.
you.